Welcome to the Archer Temple podcast, teachings for sovereign awakening, sacred union, and embodied devotion. I'm Christopher Shaw, here with Aeon Archer. May this transmission meet you exactly where you are and open the next doorway on your path. Let us begin.
Stretch your arms a little bit today. Wake up. Good morning. There we go. Shake out some of that energy. It's good to be alive. I want to tell you something that happened to me recently. I was on a Zoom call in a recovery meeting, actually based out of New York City. And somewhere in the middle of it, I caught myself drifting, daydreaming, not in the meeting, but into a life, a whole other life. I could feel it, the energy of the city, that version of me that might exist there, the things I might build, the person I might become in the streets of Manhattan, in that rhythm, in that particular kind of aliveness that New York carries. And I want to be honest with you, it wasn't a passing thought. It was a pull, a yearning, the kind that sits low in the body, a sort of restlessness, a quiet anxiety, a whisper that says, what if this isn't it? What if the real version of your life is somewhere else? And you might know that feeling. Later that morning, I was at the gym, still kind of carrying this feeling, and something inside me cracked open. It was a flash of clarity. And I want to share that with you today because I believe it is one of the most important things I have come to understand on this path. There comes a point on the path where spiritual growth no longer looks like becoming aware of more possibilities. It becomes like becoming devoted enough to choose. In the earlier stages of awakening, expansion often feels liberating. You begin to realize you are not as limited as you once believed you were. You see that you are capable, adaptable, intelligent, and resilient. You realize you could rebuild in a new city, begin a new chapter, create a new life, learn a new craft, enter a new community, and succeed in many places under many conditions. And this awareness, of course, is empowering, but eventually it becomes its own initiation. Because once you know you can live many lives, the deeper question becomes, which life are you willing to fully inhabit? And this is where many spiritually sensitive people encounter a unique form of suffering. It is not ordinary indecision, it is not laziness, it's not a lack of vision. It is the tension of being able to feel multiple timelines and struggling to surrender to one. For those of us who have a natural affinity for novelty, and I will put myself in that category openly, the spiritual path can become its own trap. The mind learns the language of expansion and uses it to spiritualize what is really just restlessness. It calls perpetual openness freedom. It calls constant reconsideration discernment. It calls the inability to pick one lane alignment. I have felt this in my own life around my speaking work. I can speak about so many things. I carry so many threads, so many passions, and the invitation is to choose just one, to begin forging a path forward around a singular focus. And that has genuinely challenged me. That has been my biggest challenge over the past 8 months, trying to decide what I want to speak about and who I want to speak to, is deciding one thing and focusing on that. To tell you the truth, I've changed my keynote talk and my audience like 13 times over the course of the past 8 months. And it's not because I don't know what I care about, but because choosing one thing means releasing the others, even if only temporarily. And that release has a cost. That cost shows up in the body before it shows up in the mind. For me, it was low-level anxiety, lethargy, a kind of heaviness that masquerades as uncertainty, but is actually something else entirely. It's grief. One of the great confusions on the spiritual path is the belief that because something is possible, it must therefore be meant for you. But possibility is not the same as calling. Some lives appear before you not because they are yours to live, but because they are yours to witness. They reveal your range. They show you your capacity. They mirror your power back to you. But they are not all invitations. Some are simply evidence that you are larger than the life you used to imagine for yourself. And this is important because without discernment, gifted people become scattered. The more capable you are, the more options life places before you. And if you do not have a deeper center, you can spend years, and I have spent years, orbiting potential without ever fully incarnating purpose. The soul may be infinite in essence, but incarnation is finite by design. You are one life, one body, one nervous system, one attention span, one arc of becoming in this particular form. And that finiteness is not a flaw. It is the very condition that makes meaning possible. So, if you could live every life fully and simultaneously, none of them would ripen into depth. Meaning comes from giving yourself over. Love matures through staying. Wisdom matures through returning. And power matures through commitment. The soul may contain many songs, but incarnation asks, which one will you sing all the way through? Many people worship freedom. I certainly have, but few understand its shadow. Freedom is holy, but when freedom is not anchored in truth, it becomes restlessness. It becomes chronic openness, chronic reconsidering, chronic scanning for what else is possible, what is better. Instead of liberating the self, it divides your attention, leaks your energy, and weakens your ability to be present. A person can have many open doors and still not be free. Why? Because freedom is not the absence of commitment. True freedom is the ability to choose with integrity and remain present inside that choice. Without devotion, freedom becomes fragmentation. Without rootedness, possibility becomes torment. Without sacred commitment, vision becomes overstimulation. I know what it is to mistake motion for aliveness, to keep scanning for the next thing because presence with this thing feels too slow, too quiet, too ordinary. A devoted life requires commitment to the slow burn, and the slow burn is where legacy is forged. It is where impact is built. It is where the soul's greater calling actually begins to take shape. Not in the excitement of the new, but in the depth of the sustained. Now, part of what makes devotion difficult is that choosing one path often feels like losing many others. And this grief is real. I am in recovery, and one of the most disorienting things about growing in recovery is this. I sometimes have to grieve my old life. And I know that sounds strange. Why grieve a life of suffering? Why mourn what was actively destroying you? But here's the truth of it. That life was familiar. It felt safe. It was the shape of myself I had known the longest. And as I have grown, as I have moved further and further from that version of me, there are moments where I have to sit with the sorrow of a self I will never return to. A chapter that is genuinely closed. And when you are capable of multiple beautiful lives, commitment carries a hidden sorrow. You're not only choosing a path, you are releasing all the selves that might have unfolded elsewhere. The city you would have thrived in, the work you could have built, the version of you that would have emerged in another landscape, another rhythm, another calling. This is why some people stay suspended in possibility. They're not shallow, they're stuck in grieving. And what I have come to understand through sitting with that grief over and over again is this. Grief is not a sign that you chose wrong. Grief is often the proof that that choice was sacred. You do not need to shame yourself for feeling the ache of roads not taken. Spiritual maturity includes the capacity to bless the unlived life without abandoning the life you are here to embody. When a person begins to awaken, their energy expands. They see more, they feel more, they imagine more, they become more. But power that is not organized becomes diffused. And devotion is what organizes that power. Devotion says, I honor all that I could do, but I will not worship endless becoming. I bless all that I could be, but I choose who I am becoming now. And I release the addiction to keeping every door open. And I accept that embodiment requires sacrifice. This is why devotion is not small. It is not restrictive. It is not the abandonment of freedom. It is the refinement of freedom into form. A river becomes powerful, not because it spreads everywhere, but because it consents to banks. To devote yourself to your capital S self is not merely to follow your bliss, it is to enter relationship with the deepest truth of your being. It is to become accountable to what your soul knows, even when your personality feels uncertain. The capital S self does not guide through optimization. It does not guarantee the best possible choice. It guides through resonance, coherence, peace, integrity, and service. So the question is not which timeline gives me the most. The question is which path makes me more true to myself? Which path deepens my integrity? Which path makes me more available to love, service, clarity, and God? The truest path is not always the most glamorous one. It's not always the most impressive one. No Ferraris here. Not always the one with the most novelty. But it is the one that gathers your spirit instead of scattering it. So here is what shifted for me in the gym, in that flash of clarity. When I took the moment to honor all the lives I could live, and I mean genuinely honor them, I looked at them with love and then consciously chose the life I am living right now. Something inside me began to reorganize. That restlessness of spirit lifted. That low-level anxiety that had been quietly draining me dissolved. And what replaced it was resignation. It was ownership. It was devotion, freely chosen. It was the feeling of a person who is not stuck in their life, but committed to it. And when I tell you, everything changed. I was showing up for my commitments more fully, more energized to do the work that needs to be done to move me forward, more clear on what that work looks like and what it entailed. And I was able to move through it energized. There is a practice I want to offer you. When you feel the pull of another timeline, another city, another path, another version of yourself, instead of white knuckling yourself back to the present, I want you to try this. Say to that unlived life, I honor you. I honor the life I could have lived there. I honor the version of me that would have emerged on that path. I do not reject the possibility in bitterness. I release it with reverence. And I return my energy to the life I am choosing now. This transforms FOMO, fear of missing out, into consecration. You're no longer being haunted by your own potential. You're becoming a steward of it. This teaching asks for several inner developments. Discernment, which is the ability to tell the difference between soul guidance and seeking stimulation. Grief capacity, the willingness to mourn what you do not choose without collapsing into regret. Devotion, the maturity to keep showing up to what is true, even when alternatives still sparkle. And embodiment, the discipline of placing your energy into lived reality rather than endless inner possibility. Trust, the most important of all, trust. Faith that the life you fully inhabit will reveal dimensions no imagined timeline ever could. So in closing, there is a season on the path where expansion is the medicine. That is undoubtedly true. And there is a season on the path where narrowing is the medicine. And not narrowing out of fear, not narrowing because life defeated you, but narrowing because your soul is ready to coalesce into coherence. I have proven through many chapters of this life that I can rebuild, that I am resilient, that I could thrive in many circumstances, many cities, many callings. And I am choosing this one. Not because it's the only life I could live, but because it is the life I am here to live. The life that gathers my spirit instead of scattering it. The life that builds legacy, deepens impact, and answers the call I feel most truly in my bones. So when many timelines arise, as they will, do not panic. Do not assume you are lost. Do not mistake multiplicity for misalignment. Instead, remember, you are seeing your range. You are feeling your capacity. You are being initiated into devotion. And the invitation is not to chase every possible life. The invitation is to become so honest, so rooted, so reverent that you can say, I bless all that I could be. I choose what I am here to embody. And I offer my life fully to that. That, my friends and family, is devotion. That is how we build the new earth together. Let us close in prayer. Divine Source, living presence within us and all around us, we thank you for the gift of this life, this body, this one breath, this one sacred arc of becoming. When the mind becomes restless with endless possibilities, bring us back to what is true. When we are tempted to scatter our energy across many paths, teach us the quiet power of devotion. Give us the courage to choose the life that deepens our integrity, the wisdom to release what is not ours to carry, and the humility to trust the path that is unfolding before us. Help us bless the lives we did not live without abandoning the life we are here to embody. May our choices become offerings. May our commitments become prayers. May our devotion gather our energy into something real and beautiful. Guide us into coherence. Guide us into truth, and guide us into the sacred depth of the life we are meant to inhabit. And may all that we choose, every step, every word, every act of devotion, serve love, serve truth, and serve the awakening of this world. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Guru Om, Amen, Aho, Ashe, and so it is. Now, beloved family, Christopher will lead us in a guided meditation to embody this teaching.
Wow. Oh, didn't think I could ever love this man more than I do, and I do. Oh, that was so incredible and inspirational. So much to think about. So good, so good. Thank you, Aeon. All right, let's take a few moments now to bring this teaching into our bodies. So if you'd like, close your eyes, if that feels comfortable, or simply soften your gaze. And let's begin by taking a slow breath in through the nose and gently exhaling through the mouth. Again, slow inhale and a long, easy exhale. Allowing the breath to settle into its natural rhythm. Feeling the weight of your body where you are sitting. Feeling the ground beneath you. You are here. In this body. In this moment. In this life. Nothing else is required right now. Just arrive. Now gently bring your attention to the center of your chest, the heart space. You don't need to force anything. Just notice the subtle movement of breath in this area. And as you breathe, imagine that your attention is gathering there, like a scattered light slowly focusing into a single beam. Your energy returning home. Now bring to mind the idea that Aeon shared with us today, the experience of many possible lives. Perhaps different paths you have considered, different versions of yourself that could have emerged, different places you might have lived, different relationships or identities that could have unfolded. And allow those possibilities to appear gently in your mind's eye, not with regret, not with judgment, just as a recognition of your range, your capacity, your ability to become many things. Now imagine that you are standing in the center of a great open landscape, and in every direction there are paths, different timelines, different possible lives. Notice them. Honor them. And quietly say within yourself, I bless the lives I could have lived. Again, I bless the lives I could have lived. Now slowly allow those many paths to soften and fade, not because they were wrong, and not because they were impossible, but because your energy is returning to the life you are living now. Bringing your awareness back into your body, back into your breath, back into this present moment. This one life, this one arc of becoming. And feel the simple truth of your existence, your body breathing, your heart beating, your life unfolding. And quietly say within yourself, I choose to inhabit my life fully. Again, I choose to inhabit my life fully. And letting those words settle. Notice if something in the body relaxes or is restless. Often the restlessness we carry is not because our life is wrong, but because our attention is scattered across imagined lives instead of resting in the one we are actually living. So take another breath and allow your energy to gather here, into this moment, into this body, into this path. Now place one hand gently over your heart and silently repeat, I bless the paths I did not take. I return my energy to the life I am living. I offer my life with devotion. Take one more slow breath in and exhale. Feeling the quiet presence that remains when the mind stops scanning for another life. This is the beginning of devotion. And devotion is where power gathers. When you're ready, gently bring your awareness back to the room, wiggling your fingers and toes, shoulders, and slowly opening your eyes and coming back to this place.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, family. Wiggle it out a little more. Here we go.
Shake
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Stretch. Before we close today, I'd like to take a brief moment to speak heart to heart. Merkaba Temple exists because we choose to build this together. There's no corporation behind this, no institution funding it. It lives because people like you show up, participate, and support the space so it can continue serving others. If these gatherings nourish you, if this temple helps you return to yourself each week, then giving is simply a way of participating in what we are building together. So if you feel called, you can take out your phone now, open Venmo, and simply type @Merkaba Temple, or visit us at merkabatemple.com/donate. Your offering supports these weekly broadcasts, our community gatherings, and retreat scholarships for those who need support. Give what feels true. Give what feels clean. Thank you for helping this temple exist.
Thank you for being here with us at Archer Temple. If something in this teaching helped your body soften or brought you back into yourself, let it keep moving. Share it with someone who's ready. This temple is sustained through conscious participation, through those who feel the resonance and choose to support the work from clarity, not pressure. If you feel called into right exchange, you're welcome to support the mission on Venmo at Merkaba Temple, all one word. And if you'd like to go deeper, you can schedule a complimentary soul alignment session at archershaw.guru. Until next time, take care of your nervous system, walk gently, and stay close to what's true.